Hi, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment here with my co host Manny for the Geek Saga Show series, The Media That Made Us. This series focuses on media that the two of us consumed in our younger or maybe even just slightly younger years, media that helped shape our current interests and that we still love.
And I'm Manny. And for our 15th Media That Made Us episode, we're continuing our coverage of the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy with our discussion of the Return of the King Extended Edition, based, of course, on JRR Tolkien's classic work and produced and directed by Peter Jackson.
Before we get started, just a heads up that you can follow me and therefore all of the Geek Saga endeavors at a Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube.
And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Manissimo Art.
Okay, I'm beginning this by saying just a couple other house cleaning items before we dig in. It's more than a couple this time because we have some updates. First of all, if you're watching this as a webcast on Facebook or YouTube, pretty please make sure to hit those like and or subscribe buttons. And if you're catching the audio only version on your favorite podcatcher, we could really use some more ratings, especially on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and would super very much greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to mark the Geek Saga podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening. Last but, well, this isn't even last but hopefully not least. It sort of is. Last but hopefully Last but hopefully not least, we hope that you'll check out the Geek Saga Entertainment Patreon. We have a lot of tiers with just $3 per month, getting you the most prevalent perk of early access to podcast episodes. Also, if you're watching this as a webcast, I don't know if anybody ever pays attention to my background, but it is far more bare than usual today. And this is because I am preparing to move cross country for good and all around mid July. Barring any complications, Manny here is going to be flying to California to help get me and my dogs and my stick shift car, which was the big deal here. Like, needed to find somebody who could drive stick shift, so yay. Back east. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because we will absolutely be creating content along the way, much of which will be available to our patrons first. And anyone who is already a guard tier member or above, or who joins our Patreon prior to July 15th at that tier, which is again just $3 per month, will be the first to experience our cross country trek content, some of which will only be available to our patrons. So check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
Okay, our format for this Media That Made Us series includes our top 5 moments that made it. Basically, our hot takes from the portion of the series we're covering, followed by any insights we've uncovered from rewatches and or being longtime fans. And while we made it known that that one does not simply choose just 5 top moments from these movies, we did so once again, beginning with
The beacons are lit. Gondor calls for aid. Oh my god. From the moment Pippin runs up to light the beacon of Amandine to Theoden saying, to Aragorn, you see them just lighting up across Middle Earth, and then Aragorn announces like the beacons are lit, Gondor is calling for aid, and Theoden says, and Rowan will answer, muster the Rohirrim. Like, Gandalf is right. Hope is kindled. I just ah
it was so good, man. Like what a like great way to like communicate that also when you're talking about such a like huge span of land. Like how does one do that? When one's under attack, number one, you'd have to get a horse rider out, from the army that's trying to invade and then try to contact somebody else like, "Hey, bro, we need help." But the way they did it, like, with the fires and stuff, and it was so awesome, like all the angles they used when you see the mountains and you see like one light up and then way far in the distance you'll see like another one all of a sudden like light up, and it's like, dude, it
mhm.
was powerful. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, and also just a lot of times when we talk about our top 5 moments, not just with these movies, but our previous episodes on Battlestar Galactica, a
Mhm.
lot of them will kind of encompass a bunch of stuff. And we have a couple, I think, in this episode that also are going to encompass more than just one exact moment. Maybe all of them do in a way. But
Yeah.
this is one where it's only this one scene, right? But
Mhm.
it it does literally make the whole rest of the story, first of all, because if Pippin hadn't lit that first beacon, where would they be now?
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
you know, minions of Sauron or dead. So yeah, I just it's just such a and also the vistas. I mentioned that not so much in our Two Towers episode, but in our Fellowship episode, we talked about the vistas that you see, and this is another one where because the camera is like literally flying across the countryside, and
Yep.
I just so
So beautiful. I loved it.
perfect. It's
What
perfect.
I mean, what a place to go out and ride to your death, even if you were gonna die in battle. It's like, yeah, if I was gonna die in battle, I'd want it to be right there. Like, that's just so pretty.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Unfortunately, more pretty than the Battle of Helm's Deep, but
Yes, way more pretty.
eh,
Not really a place I would die, but, if they hadn't told me to, ride out and meet them and all this stuff and, for the Red Dawn, yeah, I'd have died there too. I wouldn't have given a shit. I'd have been like, "Fuck yeah. Just fucking die right fucking here, dude."
yeah, yeah, it's perfect,
Ugh.
it's beautiful, no notes, and honestly, I think that's really there's not much to say about it other than yay.
No, it was
Because,
inspiring.
Denethor didn't want this to happen either,
No,
so
no,
this
he
is in a
really didn't.
way a somewhat chaotic Pippin moment.
Yes, exactly. Because he's just small and of course he's like fucking it up too. He's like going up there and of course he's got to like slightly fuck it up. And it's like, dude, okay, I love this guy, you know. But I did like, how, Theoden was like, oh, well, we're gonna answer the call, right? Because Gondor was like, we ain't gonna start shit. No, we don't, you know what I'm saying? And it just seemed like there was a lot of division there. And it was just like this was the time when like all men just rose up and was like, yes, we're going to fight together. I love it.
Yeah, again, no further notes,
No.
and we're not trying to rush through these. The thing
Mm-mm.
is, we keep saying this in these episodes, but this one is even more because
Yeah,
we've
we got a
added
lot.
on more stuff at the end. So, next up,
Oh man. The way is shut. It was made by those who are dead, and the dead keep it. Yes. Aragorn,
this is one of those ones that encompasses a lot of stuff, let's be real.
it does, yeah. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas traveling through Dunharrow pass to confront the ghosts of the faithless men and convince them to join the fight in exchange for their release from their oath slash their living death. Yeah, it was interesting that scene. Okay, so let's kind of backpedal here for a second. When I first saw this movie, I did not like the concept of the Army of the Dead. I really didn't, you know,
Oh,
because I felt it was like that Deus Ex Machina kind of situation to where it's like, oh, this
hmm.
is the thing that's going to kind of just, this is going to be the easy win, is what it is. And since they're not really vulnerable to anything, then it's like, and there is that scene later where Gimli's like, "Well, yeah, don't release them from their oath. We can just use them to go in and keep fighting." And I was kind of with Gimli on that. I'm like, "Well, guys, I mean, we can lose a lot. I mean, I know that like Aragorn is like, keeping his word and being like a true king, but the rest of us, hoodlums are like, well, hold on, man. We can do a little less work and a little less dying. These guys are already dead." Right? They're already on the clock. I don't want to die. Like, can we just use them to just lighten the load a little bit? Like, hey guys, I'm going to release you from your oath, but maybe if you get like a third of these guys, we'll like do the rest. We'll do the cleanup, you know?
I mean, and I think really the only reason because I don't disagree. It seems silly to let them go, and it honestly seems silly for them to want to go. Like, dudes, you fucked up a long time ago.
Yeah.
You have a lot to make up for here. You're not gonna, like you said, you're already dead. But if they had kept on with them, it wouldn't have made for
Yeah.
because, like, listen, like Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, they approach the Corsair. corsairs of Umbar's ships, and they claim they're going to take them. And of course, the corsairs are like, whoa, yeah, right. But then, boom, Ghost Army. And then
Fantastic.
they arrive near Minas Tirith, and the orcs are thinking their allies have arrived, and they're whining like, "Oh, you guys are late. What the fuck, guys?" And so they think their allies have arrived on these ships, and only for Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas to leap off, followed by boom, Ghost Army. Plus, just like, well, LOL at the Ghost Army swarming the Oliphants like ants. Like, I actually rewatched that scene twice when I watched this again, then I rewatched it, and while I was rewatching it, I kept going back and viewing certain scenes, and I watched them swarming the armies of Mordor and the Oliphants, especially like ants, and I was like,
No, yeah, and it was cool because there's like, I mean, they're ghosts, right? So they're not like running on the floor or anything. And when you see them like climbing up one of the like Oliphants, and it's like an ocean of just ghosts, and the thing is falling, and everybody's falling, and it's like all this stuff. It was just awesome. It was what a cool concept,
and I
you
also
know.
think too, Walker is saying best use of the undead army trope, because a lot of times in fantasy books it's just like super easy,
Hmm.
and this actually shows how it like might not be, and that kind of goes back to when Aragorn first confronts them in the caves, and
Hmm.
I mean, he has to kind of prove who he is,
Yeah.
not just say he's Isildur's heir. He has to prove he's Isildur's heir, and they're still like, oh, I don't know, guys, and just also like Gimli when the spirit winds or whatever you want to call them are kind of like blowing around, and Gimli's like like
Yeah,
blowing.
that was so good.
Like, they make it amusing, and they also make it's not just hey boom, it's not just boom, you get a ghost army, you get a ghost army, you get a ghost
You
army,
get
you get a ghost
exactly.
army. It's literally like he has to fight. They have to
Yeah,
fight to convince them, you know yeah, we fight with us, and also then you won't be a ghost army anymore, yay for you.
yeah, yeah.
So it's just, and again, it's less like one singular moment maybe, but I still feel like it's one of the best situations is probably a better way to put it
Yeah,
in this
no,
movie.
absolutely, and like, Aragorn like releasing them after that first battle was very kingly, where he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna like you're not my slaves, like
Yeah.
we're just gonna like go ahead and and just kind of release you or whatever." That's, I mean, I differ a little bit from that, but I get it. But I'm not the king. If I was gonna be the king, then I'd be like, okay, well, I'm sorry, guys, I gotta do my kingly stuff. But I don't know, me just being a little hood rat, in the in front of Mordor. I'd be like, guys, just one more. Just one more. You took those Oliphants out really fucking fast. This is gonna be light work for you guys. Let's just get it done, Like, but no, but they did a great job with it because like it's one of those like reoccurring themes that you see a lot in movies, where it's like they throw the enemy off guard, right? Because they're just like a few people show up and it's just like, oh, this is gonna be easy. This was done really beautifully in
Yeah.
that in Joss Whedon's Serenity movie when when the Firefly goes up against like the Alliance army, and then all of a sudden all the reavers come through the clouds, and they were all cocky like, look at this guy, he's just flying right
Mm.
towards us, and all of a sudden all the ships come out of everywhere, and it was like, and they're all freaking out. I was like, classic, kind of thing. It was awesome. It was cool.
I muted my mic so I could take a drink of ice water without the ice like rattling in my mic, and then my finger was slippery and I couldn't mute myself. Um, there was a conversation going on in the comments where Return of the King was one of the
Hmm.
first uses of an undead army, because back then it was a new concept, and I don't know the
Yeah.
exact publication date, but I want to say it was like mid 50s.
Hmm.
I I could be wrong about that. It could have been earlier, but I feel like it was mid 50s. But yeah, and then one of our commenters is saying like not letting them go when they said like, "Hey, we're done. Can we go now? You promised us." Would have been like using, you told the genie your third
Yeah.
wish would be to free him, and then you'd betray him. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and you're absolutely right. The movie would have been over in 10 minutes after that. I mean, come on, we need something. And I will say that the fact that it's like one of the first uses of, you know, of like a dead army, that actually makes me like it a lot more, right? To where it's like, okay, this was awesome, right? Like it's kind of neat because it is kind of a trope that's kind of been like used a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but I liked it. I thought like in this one. At first I didn't because, you know, I mean, I was young when I first watched this. So I was
Well, and
just,
also you hadn't read the
and I
books.
hadn't read the
Shame,
books.
shame,
I
shame.
know. I read The
I'm kidding.
Hobbit, but
I'm
that was
kidding. I'm
it,
not
you know,
shaming you
like
for real. Just
no.
just to be clear to our listeners, I am not shaming Mandy
Yeah.
for not reading these.
No, I read the Hobbit books, but because I was like, I read those like when I was like a kid, but I
Yeah.
didn't read the other ones.
But so yeah, I mean, having not read them, you wouldn't you have known like when they
Yeah, I
were
wouldn't have
published
known.
or how early on, you know, this happened compared to other
Yeah.
fantasy stuff. So, okay, our third top fun moment.
This is a good one too. I like
I gotta
this one.
like I
This is a
gotta
good
like
one.
build up to it.
You got to build up to this one.
I am no man. Ah, because it's about to be Shield Maiden summer, y'all. And at
Yep.
least for me, it is hard to come up with any moment more powerful in this movie than Eowyn rushing to Theoden's side in an attempt to save him, only to end up in a one-on-one with the fucking Witch King that ends with her ripping off her helm and slaying him. And yes, side note, props to Mary for distracting the Witch King for a moment by stabbing him in the leg. And he also weakens him because he's got
Hmm.
like a special blade or something. But seriously, like I especially in the early 2000s, and even though yes, I'd read the books and everything, like there is still a difference of reading it and having, because the movies I think show Eowyn um in a more powerful sense in a lot of ways
Hmm.
than she's like described and written about in the books. So just in the early 2000s, like being a femme person and seeing that on the big screen, just like, you know, it's her the whole time, of course, but that moment, like I said, I can't, I don't know that there's it's for me personally, I don't know that there's a more powerful singular moment in this movie or in this
Yeah.
three movies, honestly. Like,
Yeah, no, you know, but I get those same feelings with like some of the guy stuff that happens, right? Because they're like good guys, they're not typical like, you know, dumb men. I'll have more comments about that later, but no, it was an absolutely powerful scene. I loved that there was no real like badass like method or like moment there, right? Like, I mean, yeah, that you know when she shanks, you know, the fucking Witch King in the face, that was a powerful moment, you know, but it wasn't like it was badass. That was like pure heart, is what it was, you know, and I think that's what makes this so well written and so well done, you know. And I love that, like when she's hacking the head off of the freaking Nazgul, right? Like it wasn't like one of those badass like one swipe, like ooh, no, like she's sitting there like hacking at this thing until the head comes off, you know. And it was messy, and I totally loved it because it was just fucking heart, is what it was, you know. And I think that anyone can like kind of like relate to that, you know. And I actually put a comment in here to like bring up that I'm curious if this was written today, like how many people would be mad at like the woke factor here, right? To where it's like, oh, a woman killed the Witch King and a woman like killed this. But to kind of backtrack on my own thoughts myself also, is I think that what makes the characters so relatable, because even for a character like her, she even relates to me. Like I can relate to it, right? Because I'm not a super strong guy. I'm not anything, but I have a lot of heart, you know. And when, you know, when she's riding out into battle, you know, and you can see that she's terrified and that they're fucking scared, you know, but like they're pushing through it and they're gonna rise to the fucking top, you know. Like this is one of those things that I just thought it was like those nuances, right? There's something about the writing, and obviously it came from the book, but even just like script writing, that there's something about nuance that they used to have back then that they don't so much have now, you know? Which, so yeah, great fucking scene.
and also just because you mentioned like her strength or whatever, well first, actually, you know, like let me go back a little bit. I feel like well, first of all, I would be interested to know if people were pissy about her slaying the Witch King when the book came out in the mid 50s. That's what I would really
Probably.
like
You
to
know
know.
what? Probably though. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. um and I feel like nowadays, if this came out, like, if this was written now, if it was written by a dude, no one would complain about it. Or it
No.
is written by a dude, so no one would complain about it. But if it was written by
I
a
just
woman,
feel
then it would be woke.
yeah, no, exactly. Look, it's just it's all in the like nuance. What makes Eowyn so great is that she has these vulnerabilities, and we all have vulnerabilities. So it makes the characters so much more relatable. So when she triumphs in the end, you're like, dude, that's me. Like, look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like a thing there. I feel like if it was written now, it would be like, oh, how can you do that? And she would like turn to the camera and be like, because I'm a strong woman, and it's like if it was written today, I feel like that's how it would kind of like unfold.
Sorry, I'm John Travolta-ing because I don't know where my phone is. I think I left it out in the kitchen. It doesn't matter. I don't necessarily need it, but I all of a sudden was like, shit, I forgot to turn my ringer off. And I was gonna look at it because I had made some notes on it earlier today. But
Mhm.
one thing I wanted, or maybe it was yesterday, but one thing I wanted to mention was, and just because you mentioned her strength, this is the only place this would really come up, was when Mary is like, I want to fight, let me fight. And Theoden's like, dude,
Mhm.
none of my men we're riding for like 3 days. My men cannot carry this burden. Now,
Yeah.
Eowyn being a much lighter person can, but and I understand, like, Eowyn is on a horse, she's got some momentum, whatever. But girl, she has got to have a strong grip and way more strength than you'd think. Like, listen, I know she was raised riding horses. I was too. So yes, there is like upper body strength that you have if from that, if you that's more so than somebody who's never done it, or than some just random, like,
Mhm.
young lady, whatever, who hasn't had that kind of exercise, particularly in their arms. But at the same time, when she just grabs like the back of Mary's cloak slash maybe his jerkin, like, that's
Mhm.
some grip. I would like to shake her hand.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I've never ridden a horse, but I do know that you kind of have to use both hands to like do it. And she's holding Mary the whole time as they're riding. So clearly she's got some strength there.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Okay. We're pushing a bit later, and well, not too much later in the film here, but what's our next top moment?
For Frodo. That's right. It's time for the fall of Mordor, y'all. Look, let's be real. This is more of a Frodo by Frodo in a way, but we'll get to that moment. But seriously though, eh, thanks to the to the Godmouth of Sauron, the remaining Fellowship members,
GD
all
Mouth of Sauron.
sorry,
I didn't want to write out goddamned.
no, and it's funny too, right? Because I was like, back in the day, I was Messianic, and like when you're like Hebrew, you don't write
Eh.
the word God, you write G-D. So that's why I
Oh,
said God there, because
the
it's like
more
a
you know.
the more you know. So, thanks to the goddamn Malthusaur, and the remaining Fellowship members all believe Frodo is dead, and they're about to go to their deaths as well, because the whole bunch more orcs and shit came marching through the Black Gate, and then Aragorn whispers for Frodo, and he raises that sword and charges, and Merry and Pippin basically immediately yell, "Yeah!" and follow him, and then, of course, everyone else follows a beat later.
Seriously, just like, I fucking love hobbits. Heart, heart, heart. Because it's like Aragorn, like you said, he just kind of whispers, and he's very quiet for Frodo. Because at this point, they all think he's dead,
Yep.
and he raises his sword and he charges, and then Merry and Pippin, without missing a beat, yeah, and they
Mhm.
run. And then, of course, everybody, like, again, there is a beat before everybody else picks
Yep.
it up. But also, then it's funny because they're so small, they're running, and you see them just get, like, enveloped
Yeah,
by
completely
all the
enveloped.
bigger people. I'm like, of course, Frodo isn't dead. And these battle scenes continue to be interspersed with scenes of Frodo and Sam fighting their way up, the cliffs sides of Mount Doom, and Frodo destroys the ring. And I this is something we're not going to talk about too much in this episode, is like the whole scene with Frodo destroying the ring, because I feel like it's been discussed and discussed and discussed. And I
Yep.
also as amazing as it is that he finally reaches his goal, it's really Gollum who
It's Gollum who
facilitates
fucked it
it.
up. Yeah, yeah, he kind of
Well,
fucked it up, you
he
know?
almost fucks it up, and then Frodo also, and like, you know, no hate on Frodo. Listen, we all know the ring corrupts everybody, and it took way fucking longer for it to even start to corrupt Frodo than it did or would have anybody else. But yeah, he puts that ring on his finger, and if it weren't for Gollum, who knows what might have happened, honestly.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, the ring is destroyed, kind of with the help. He didn't mean to, but Gollum helped,
You know,
and
go ahead. Go ahead.
Mordor literally collapses. It
Yeah.
literally collapses, and they're in
Yep.
the middle of you know, of the battle of what is it? God, what is that gate called? Oh, it's the Black Gate, but there's another name for it. But
Mhm.
I think I think I have it written down later, and I don't know why I'm blanking on it now. But you know, they're in front of the Black Gate. They're fighting this giant army, and I mean, they're gonna lose, but then collapse.
Yeah.
And
What a
I
great
think
sight.
it's Pippin is like, Frodo, yeah. But then like they realize the whole thing is collapsing, and he's crying because it's like there's no way Frodo is gonna.
No, gonna get out now, you know, because they just toss that ring in like right now, you know. There's no like exit strategy there, you know.
But yeah, it's just like you said, it's this is more of a for Frodo by Frodo in a way.
No, and I loved
But
it, when Aragorn, when the guy is like talking shit about how like, oh, Frodo died in pain and like all this fucking kind of shit. This is where me and Aragorn just really connect as people, because he was just like got tired of it, and then he just decapitated the guy. He was just like, oh, all right, guys, let's keep going. I was like, thank you. That's what I would have done.
yeah. Yeah, it's just the whole scene because like they think he's dead and they're fighting anyway and valiantly against
Mhm.
this just gigantic army, and they know they're probably going to lose, but then it's like, oh shit, we aren't going to lose because everything is like, I mean, the ground literally splits and swallows up
Yep.
you know, the armies of Mordor. Like I just ah it's just so it's so, and I guess in a way, I guess like it could be considered another sort of like Deus Ex Machina
Mhm.
situation, but that was the point all along with
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
So, like, destroy the ring, save the cheerleader, save the world.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh man.
um, but yeah, I just Mordor's collapse too, and the eye is kind of like like it's like squeezing shut and looking around, and it's like
Well, that's what I
I don't
put.
know.
Okay,
You
so
can like you can
I
feel it.
it's fucking panic. I put that later in here, but I'm just gonna say it now. Where it's like if you look at the eye, like I can't help but giggle because the eye
Mhm.
looks like we've all made that eye when we're sitting in a chair and the chair leans back a little too far, and we're just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, like, and poor fucking Sauron sitting there like, oh shit, I don't have arms to catch my fall. I don't have arms to catch my fall. like,
Poor fucking Sauron.
yeah,
You heard it
exactly.
here, folks. Manny is a Sauron
Dude.
sympathizer.
No, man, it's just because like you see your friend falling back in the chair and you're just like, do I help them or do I stay for the comedy? Like, and you just kind of can't decide,
Oh my
That's what I felt
god.
like.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
I think we're ready for our final top moment, right? Right? Yeah,
Is it?
Manny?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it?
Our final top moment. And let me remind you that if you are watching us or listening to this as a podcast, we have a fuck ton more to talk about, so stick around.
Mm-hmm.
These are just our personal favorite things. Uh, so, final on our top 5 moment list is my friends, you bow to no one. And everybody bows to the hobbits, and I cry.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it's just it's you know, we've seen like Aragorn, Gandalf places the crown on Aragorn's head. Then he has his reunion that he didn't think he would have with Arwen, which is, you know, like sweet and everything. Their kisses. I actually
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I have really ever thought about it or paid as much attention to it before, but their kisses like get that a PG-13 rating, you know?
Shit. It was nice then. I
But
felt it.
yeah. And then he's like finally got Arwen on his arm, and they're walking, and the crowd is kind of parting, and they come upon the hobbits, who are all four standing there in a line, and or a line, row, whatever you want to call it, and they kind of all awkwardly like start bowing, and Aragorn, my friends, you bow to no one. And I just, come on, Ellie. And then everybody bows. I know I've already said this, but listen, does anybody watch this and like not get choked up? Because
No, it was great.
I watched this movie, essentially I watched this scene probably 5 times over the past like week. Because there were other things I was thinking about, like Arwen and Aragorn's eyes are like the same color, and it's that like really like pretty kind of sea green blue, and
Oh yeah.
their kids all gonna have those eyes, and that's a total side note. But yeah, so
Very
I was
dreamy.
watching this scene a lot, and also the looks on all of the hobbits' faces when this happens. Frodo
Mhm.
looks supremely uncomfortable. I honestly don't know what's going on with Sam's expression. Like, he also looks uncomfortable, but in a different, like, he kind of looks like he has to take a shit.
He's like,
Yeah.
we've been
And
eating lambus bread for months.
I'm stopped up.
Exactly.
I need some tomatoes on a.
Exactly.
And then Mary and Pippin just have these sort of like surprise little, like, it's all very cute. They have these sort of surprise little smiles, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's
No,
so good.
but
It's so good.
this is like really cool, right? Because it's like the smallest of people who are making the biggest of differences, right? Because the hobbits are so easy to be looked over. Like, oh, you're not going to ride with us. What is he going to do? What are those people going to do? Because they're small and they're like, but I mean, they were the ones who took the fucking ring to the fucking, to fucking Mordor and fucking threw it in. What did you guys fucking do? You guys clanked swords for a while. That's cool, but like, you didn't fucking throw the ring in the volcano. I threw the ring. Anyone else throw the ring in the volcano? No, no. Was that just okay? Yeah, it was just me. That's right. I saved the day. I did. No, but it definitely was really cool, and it's very much like on brand for like Aragorn also, right? Because he's such a humble fucking character, that he would do something
Yeah.
like that, so it
Yep.
was beautiful.
Well, I mean, not just that he's humble, but also like you said, literally none of them would be here. And it's not just, Frodo wouldn't have made it as far without Sam, as we talked about in the Two
Yep.
Towers episode. Frodo admits that himself, and we'll talk about that more in a bit. But um, also just Mary and Pippin both kicked a lot of ass
They did. They
in
absolutely did.
I mean, really in all these movies, but most especially in this one.
This one, they shined.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
they definitely
yeah.
shined in because they were funny. They were more like comic relief in the other ones.
Hmm.
And even though there was kind of some moments there, you kind of really got to see like their true character, in this, and it was just fucking wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Now
one
that we got
thing.
that out of the way.
Yeah, now we've got the top 5 moments out of the way. We have some very specific things to talk about.
Mhm.
One thing that we have been doing with our Lord of the Rings episodes is focusing on a few things specific to this series that we've basically just decided as we've been going along. And for Return of the King, our new topic is exhortations, bitches. Um, this is speeches is the light way to put it, and that's why I called it exhortations. One of them is maybe not
Mhm.
as rousing as the others, but I'm going to start with Theoden riling up the Rohirrim for the Battle of the Pelennor Fields when
Mhm.
he says, "Arise, arise, riders of Theoden! Spears shall be shaken, shields shall be splintered. A sword day, a red day ere the sun rises. Ride now, ride now, ride for ruin and the world's ending." And then there's just like death, death, death. Like, and they're all like, he's screaming it, they're screaming it back at him, and he says, "For Theolingus!" And
Mhm.
then there's the horns and the charge and the music, and I'm getting chills again, just thinking about it.
Yep.
And like Eowyn and Mary, oh my God, just on their horse together and just like, fuck, like I'm tearing up. And the look on those orcs' faces as they realize they're about to get fucked.
Yep. Yep.
And some of
I
them
love
even
it.
start turning to run and just like,
Run.
ah, Riders of Rowan are
Oh,
my faves.
yep.
Like,
Yep.
forever and always, they are my faves.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh my
man.
God. Like, honestly, though, there are two rousing speeches that we're going to talk about. We have a little quieter one that Manny's going to talk about in a second. But you mentioned actually this speech kind of briefly earlier, and it's just, we've gotten the speeches before, especially in Two Towers. There were some great ones, but in this movie, it's like every other fucking scene, there's just a great speech. It was actually hard to choose just three.
Yeah.
Because this next one I hemmed and hawed about changing it out for one that happens later in the movie, but I think that the battle speeches had to be included no matter what.
They had to be, this speech I feel was more like it was comfort than anything else. The other one was like a call to war, was a call to battle. This was something that was more comfort, which I think was really fantastic, and I really liked it because the way that Ian McKellen like delivers it, right? It's just very peaceful, and like as much as I love battle speeches, like and all that stuff, and if I was in like kind of a dire situation, like this is exactly what I would want to hear, so um so yeah, so Gandalf, well, you can probably call it a declamation, or perhaps even a homily, as he tries to make Pippin feel better about their possible, nay, likely impending death. Pippin says he didn't think it would end this way, and Gandalf replies, "End? No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path, one that we all must take. The gray rain curtains of this world roll back, and all turns to silver glass. And then you see it, white shores and beyond, a far green country under a swift sunrise."
It's good.
And Pippin's
And
just like, "Oh, that doesn't sound so bad." Like, yeah.
yeah. And
Love
Gandalf
it.
has been on that edge of death, so he would know,
Yeah,
I
he would know.
guess. And but yeah, it's and also I don't know, like whatever you believe about what happens after death, like I personally I want to believe there's something, um or I guess nothing it would be okay too. But really what I think about, like, weirdly enough, this makes me think of like the Rainbow Bridge thing.
Hmm.
When you lose a pet and everybody is like Rainbow Bridge, and it's like I don't I didn't know about that until I was like maybe in college or something. Possibly even after, because
Yeah.
internet like didn't really exist for me until college.
Yeah.
But that's what this makes me think of, like the idea that green country under a Swiss sunrise, and there's a rainbow bridge along the way, and all your pets are there to greet you. And I'm not gonna like, and now I'm gonna get like fucking choked up about it because I literally have a shrine to all of my dead pets in my house.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm right there with you, man. Like, if there's nothing afterwards, then okay, then I won't know about it. Right. But I believe that I don't know, man. I just feel like there's just too much going on for there not to be something else, So when he gives this speech, it's just fucking wonderful, and I don't know. It certainly gave me a lot of hope, even just in the real world.
Mhm. Why, and he's only saying it to Pippin, but Pippin really needed to hear it just then, and it was, I don't know,
Yep.
it was so good. Uh, However, for our third exhortation, we have to go back to battles. And
Yes.
this is, of course, Aragorn's rousing cohortation just before the Battle of Morannon. Oh my God. I don't know if I can go through this, but I'm going to try. Hold your ground, sons of Gondor, of Rowan, my brothers. I see in your eyes the same fear that would take the heart of me. A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. but it is not this day. An hour of wolves and shattered shields when the age of men comes crashing down. But it is not this day. This day we fight. By all that you hold dear on this good earth, I bid you stand, men of the West. Yo, they are literally surrounded, literally physically surrounded by the Morgul army. But like, then the camera starts focusing on certain characters and they're still so fucking determined, because after that speech, who wouldn't be?
Oh yeah.
Am I
Oh yeah,
right?
dude. Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? I might die there, but I am not getting defeated. I promise you that.
I just, especially coming after, and I'm going to get into the Mouth of Sauron thing in a bit, but especially coming after the whole Mouth of Sauron bullshit and the fact that they believe Frodo is dead.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, Theoden's speech is amazing, but this is the real winner, honestly. Like, if I were to give them hot dogs, I would give this one 11 out of 10 hot dogs.
11
I
out
would
of 10
give
hot dogs.
Theoden's speech 10 out of 10 hot dogs. I would give Gandalf's speech, only because it's sad, 9.5 out of 10 hot dogs.
Oh, of course you would do that. Of course, the one that I read is the one that gets 9. Fuck this shit.
Only
I'm
because
just
it's
kidding.
sad.
No, I know it's sad, but it
I
was
mean, it's
comforting.
well, I mean, it's comforting, yeah. But
Okay. So
to be fair,
look,
I am definitely more of a fuck these bitches sort of
yeah.
speech person. So
All right, look, 9 out of 5 hot dogs I'll accept as long as they're like Chicago style hot dogs. They got
yes,
something on them, okay,
or
not just ketchup and mustard.
they're
You
the
know?
foot long. They're the foot long hot dogs.
Okay, good. Okay, that's fine. You know. Oh
Sorry, guys.
man.
For anybody who's never watched one of our episodes before, rating things on a scale of hot dogs came from our Battlestar episodes when we became randomly obsessed with the Battlestar character hot dog.
Hot dog, my
If
man.
you've never watched Battlestar, I am sorry
Yeah.
for you not understanding these very weird references.
Yeah.
But yeah. So did you wanna say this piece, or did I miss it and you already did?
No, you didn't. I was trying to come up with like like to try to coin a phrase for this entire movie, and I would probably
Mhm.
sum it up as like Lord of the Speech, because that's what this movie was. It was
Yeah.
Lord of the Speech, Return of the Speeches, like that's all it was, like they're all fucking inspiring, they're all great, and it does not get old in any kind
Nope.
of way
No,
whatsoever.
it really
It's
doesn't.
wonderful.
Because that's the thing, they could get old, but they're so
No,
well done, not just well written, but also like just delivered fucking
delivered
perfectly.
in the
And
way, the setting, everything, like
right, the way they focus on different people, different things while Theoden and Aragorn are giving these speeches, especially.
mhm,
But also like in Theoden's speech where he's like death, and they're all like death, after
mhm,
him. What is it, like a hue and cry, I think is what it's called.
yeah.
It's just ah, so fucking good. It's so
Great.
fucking good.
Fantastic. Great.
Now, of course, how could we forget, hint we would not, to also highlight our favorite enemies to lovers, I mean friends,
Mm,
with some of the best moments or scenes that showcase Legolas and Gimli's budding romance, I mean friendship.
friendship. Confirmed
So,
friendship in this one, though. It was confirmed. So,
listen, I've said
or
I'm
they or
friends
they were
with
playing
people.
coy.
I've said I was just friends with people too when I was heart beating for them. So,
Okay, fair enough. I have done the same. I'm just saying that they okay, so then they're just playing it off like, "Oh, no, it's totally fine. We're best friends."
all right, first up, what you got?
Oh my gosh, a slight tingle in my fingers. I think it's affecting me. The drinking contest. Contest in quotes because of course it wasn't really a contest. Literally seconds after Legolas claims he's feeling a slight tingling, Gimli is all, "What did I say? He can't hold his liquor," and just like passes out, like and Legolas is just kind of like, well, okay, game's over, I guess. Those elves, man. It's like, you know what? You guys got to give me a fucking break, dude. Like you come out here all looking all perfect and shit, and like holding your liquor and stuff.
But
You
it's
know,
just, I mean, it's so cute because like Legolas knew. He knew this
it was
wasn't.
cute. it was cute that Legolas was entertaining the idea for
Yeah.
like Gimli, right? And that goes
Yeah.
to like that bromance thing where it's like, all right, buddy, I got your back. You want to do this? Like, I know I'm gonna win, but like, let's do it, you know?
Yeah.
So
And Jen is right. Like they're both of their faces are just
yeah,
I mean, Gimli especially when he's like
yep.
I can't
Just
even
like
recreate. I can't, but also like when he passes out, there's like Legolas isn't like he's not making fun, he's not gloating, he's just
he's
like,
not
nope,
boasting,
game's
yeah.
over, you know.
Hmm.
Robert says, "LOL, the bromance is back." That's right. It never left, guys. It never left. Let's be
It's
real.
been here. Yeah, it's been here from the start, man. Come on, dude. You know,
Oh my god,
you don't want that, bro.
shipping Legly. Would it be Legly or would it be Gimmelas?
Gimelas,
Gimlas? Yeah.
legally
I
Gimelas.
honestly don't know. You know there is an official ship name, and I did not even think to Google it, but now I wish I had.
Mm,
I'm not going to do it while we're recording, but I do wish that I had Googled what their official ship name is because there absolutely is one.
right.
Um, so next up here, we have I just want to talk about the way Legolas talks about Gimli. Like
Mhm.
when I'm going to start it with that. The way Legolas talks about Gimli. Like when Aragorn is trying to sneak away from the camp of the Rohirrim and Gimli is clearly going to tag along and Aragorn is like, "No way, dude." And then Legolas appears and has this loving little grin on his face as he says, "Have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of dwarves?" And oh my god, it's giggleless. That is
Giggleus. That is
terrible.
good. That is.
That is terrible. That can't be right.
Dude, but if
I
it's not, it is right now. Okay, like I'm sorry. That's good.
Rakeem says I'm gonna vote Gimlego. I
You
mean,
give Lego.
honestly, that's better than Giggle. I don't like Giggleless. That sounds
Giggleus sounds like a dragon you have to defeat,
yeah, it
somewhere.
sounds like
It's
a
the
Pokemon.
Giggleus,
It sounds
Yeah.
like a Pokemon. It's their final Pokemon form.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, Charizard turned into Giggleus.
Oh my god. So just to tack on to this, have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of dwarves? I want to tack on a thought that I have, and I don't know if I'm the only person who's ever come up with this. I did not look up whether people have talked about this before, to be fair. So I am not claiming ownership over this thought or idea or whatever. But this is something that happens later on as they are leaping off the ships with the ghost army and Legolas and Gimli are about to resume their kill count contest. Gimli yells, "May the best dwarf win." And personally, I'm going to say I don't think he's just saying, "May I win," but rather
Mhm.
counting Legolas as a dwarf, like figuratively speaking, as
Well,
one
yeah.
of his people. And especially, again, especially paired with the fact that earlier Legolas might have been saying, "Have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of dwarves?" But y'all, he
He's
was there
talking about himself
insisting that
too.
he was going to
Exactly.
tag along with Aragorn too.
Mhm.
So don't
Yep.
at me about this. In my opinion, when Gimli says "May the best dwarf win," he's counting Legolas as
Legolas,
a fellow
exactly.
dwarf.
Yeah,
And
I see that completely.
yep.
Absolutely.
Don't at me on this. Don't at us on this. Oh my god. Our chat is going crazy.
Oh my
We
god,
also we
Giggleless.
also have Digivolve to Gimelas. And then this Jiggleos it is.
Jiggalas. It's like Juggalos, but just better,
That I was
like
gonna get just now that just makes me think of Juggalos. No, make it stop. Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay,
this
okay.
chat is gonna kill me tonight, dude. I love it.
Our final lovers to friends, I mean, or what is it? Enemies to friends, lovers, all that.
You
I'm
know,
doing this on purpose, guys.
exactly. They're just, you know, partners after dark.
Mhm, mhm.
So when they're facing what is obviously the last big battle at the Black Gate, Gimli not so casually mentions that he never thought he would die fighting side by side with an elf. To which Legolas responds, "What about side by side with a friend?" And he's just like, "Well, I indeed." That was beautiful. That to me was like,
Mhm.
it was a more beautiful, like, little sentiment, as like in the Two Towers, right? There's that scene where you see Gimli trying to look over the like thing, and he was like, "Do you think I should carry you, or should I get you a box?" And he just looks at him and like laughs, and it was like, "That's cute, dude," like, or
Well,
he's like, "Should I explain to you what it looks like, or should I get you a box?"
just
Like,
the way they're looking at each other in this scene, she was
it's
like,
beautiful.
and you guys, like, I am joking. While I have absolutely zero problem with people shipping these two, I do believe this is a very beautiful bro ship. Okay. This is a
It's
very
beautiful.
beautiful friendship between two men, and I am always here for a beautiful, emotional, lovely friendship between two men, that and in this case also includes like competition and fun
Mhm.
and but also like let's we did this in our Two Towers episodes, only with these because this is very specific. How many heart eyes motherfuckers?
Oh
I
yeah.
say that out of the ones we have just discussed, this one, I never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf. What about side by side with friend? This is 3 out of 3 hard eyes, motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
The
Beautiful.
the stubbornness of dwarves / may the best dwarf win is 2 out of 3 hard eyes, motherfuckers,
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
drinking contest is 1 out of 3. But again, just a reminder that we are only ranking these against each other, and no matter what, they're all adorbs, right?
Yeah, totally adorable regardless.
We love them.
Regardless.
We love them. We love them. Okay. Next up, in our fellowship episode, this is the first time we introduced like the singular topic,
Mhm.
and that one was Merry and Pippin, pure chaos goblins. I mean hobbits, and we brought it up again for Two Towers, so we had to obviously bring it back again for Return of the King. This one was a little tough.
Yeah.
Okay, you just got to be honest. Like we couldn't just dump it off on the side because they do still have some chaos moments. But coming up with top 3 was a little tough because Mary and Pippin aren't together,
Yep.
and Pippin is, let's be real, more chaotic than Mary.
Yep.
So 2 of these 3 are Pippin moments, but the first Mary / Pippin chaos moment for Return of the King, Manny.
I just want to look at it just one more time.
Pippin and the Palantir.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Pippin. And Mary the whole time is like, Pippin, no, Pippin, no, Pippin, stop, Pippin, don't.
Yep. Yep. Oh
And
man.
it's adorable and perfect, and I love them. And well, maybe not in this moment. It is a little bit maddening that Pippin's like, yeah, I got it, guys, I got it. And then he ruins
Yep.
everything because this is how they get separated. Chaos
Yep.
to the extreme, because you should never separate Mary and Pippin.
No,
It's
never.
lucky they lived without each other.
Exactly.
For so
Exactly.
many reasons. For so many reasons. But also, man, ew, Pippin, like, I get he didn't really know what he was doing, but also, my dude.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Next up, Gandalf to Pippin. Don't tell Denethor about Boromir. Don't mention Frodo or the ring. Oh, or Aragorn. Actually, don't speak at all. Pippin immediately offers service to Denethor in exchange for Boromir saving him.
Exactly. It's like, dude, no. I wanted the other one. I didn't want to go in that direction.
And we'll get into more of the Pippin and Denethor stuff later, but also it's so fucking hilarious that Gandalf gives him all of this advice. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. They walk in, Denethor is like, explain this, and he's got the horn, and it's cleaved in 2, and Pippin's like, oh yeah, that was me. I mean, not he
Yeah.
doesn't really say that was me, but yeah, I was with Boromir. He died saving me, and also like I offer my service to you, good steward, sir.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
just oh, Pippin, and Gandalf is like, shut up, stand up. What are you doing, you little ass?
Yep.
Oh my god. But also, like, if Pippin hadn't done that, then so
Yeah.
many other things wouldn't have happened, let's be real. So this is
Exactly.
a true chaotic good choice
Yes.
on Pippin's
Chaotic
part
good. That's what I
that
would call it. Yeah.
led to so much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, Manny. What's our
All
last
right.
what's our last Manny and Mary and Pippin moment?
Manny and Pippin moment. Yeah. No, we would just be like, drinking on the ale and smoking the pipe weed. I
Yep.
think that's what we'd be doing.
Sounds like about my life.
So Mary is buried under dead enemies, tucked near the belly of the beast on the battlefield, among who knows how many dead. Pippin somehow sees a hobbit foot, and runs to uncover his best bud. And Mary's like, I knew you would find me. Look, this was probably more sweet than chaotic, but like whatever. That was really fucking cool, man. I
Yeah.
mean, we loved it. That was awesome.
And I kind of believed Mary in that moment where he's like, I knew you would find me. And it's like, how though? How?
Yeah. How? You're
Do
small
we
and you're
do we
buried under other orcs.
there's also a Mary and Pippin ship name that I've never actually looked up.
Nah, who even knows?
Mippin. No, that's
Mippin.
terrible. No, that's terrible. It would have to be like I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I want to know because their two names together can be like combined in so many different ways and none of them really sound good to me. Like
No.
Mippin, Pipri, uh Merpin. I don't know. I don't love any of these. So somebody says
Perry.
Perry.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a name though. Like that's the
It's
thing.
just a
Like,
normal name. Like
yeah.
just oh yeah, I would ship them together. I'd call them Mark. Like
Oh my gosh, yeah, but you're right. Like it is more of like a sweet moment than chaotic, but also at the
Mhm.
same time, Mary, he did
Yeah.
just how did you know? How did he even know Pippin was alive? He didn't. Just saying.
No, he
Just
didn't.
saying.
He didn't give up hope, man. He just kept looking.
Their ship
It's
name
now
is now
Mark.
Mark.
It's now Mark. So Mark,
Because I think it also has to be Mark with a C just to make it more ridiculous.
oh yeah, exactly. We don't have any Marks with a C in chat, right? Like let's not kill the fan base here.
Oh god, it's like the debate between Steven with a V or a PH.
PH.
If
Yeah.
it's with a PH, like it's if somebody's spelling it deliberately with a PH, that has to be the right spelling, right? Like whatever. Let's not get off track because we still have to talk about a bunch more shit, including the broship to end all broships.
Yes.
Sam and Frodo. Okay. I will never not tear up when Sam thinks Frodo is dead and is crying like after he's been attacked by oh my god, the spider. I'm not even I'm blanking on her name right now, but
Oh, I can't remember yet.
he's Sam is crying and saying like don't leave me here alone. Don't go where I can't follow. And I like even right now I don't know if you can hear it, but having some trouble here. Like insert a million sobbing emojis. And then like poor Sam is so mad at himself when he overhears the orcs and like he takes the ring because he's like, I got to do the job, right? Because he's Sam. Of course, he's gonna do his Shelob. Yes, Aragog. It's Shelob. It's Shelob.
Shelob.
So Shelob, yeah, Shelob, whatever. But so yeah, Sam takes the ring, leaves Frodo behind, thinking he's dead, like for good fucking reason.
Yeah.
Because he's literally looks and isn't breathing and whatever. He's dead.
Yep.
Essentially. And then Sam hears the orcs and he realizes Frodo is still alive. And of course, like he saves Frodo. And by the way, he truly kicks ass while doing so. I absolutely
Oh
love
yeah.
him. Like he's like as he shanks. He's not really shanking, but as he shanks each one. I love him yelling, "That's for Frodo! That's for the Shire! And that's for my old gaffer!" Why is like why? Why the last one? What's your
Oh, it was
grandfather
beautiful.
have to do with this? But I love
Yeah.
it. It's just it's so good. It's so good. And I feel so fucking bad for him though when don't leave me here alone. It's more the don't go where I can't follow that like
Yeah, it
truly
was sad.
fucking
Yeah,
gets me.
yeah,
Like again, I'm sorry guys. Like I have lost, people in my life, but I've they've all mostly they've been people who I wasn't super close to or who were elderly who like it's that you expect this to happen at some point or another, and so to have like it just reminds me of my pets like don't go where I can't follow, don't leave me,
yeah.
what am I gonna do without you, dog, cat. Mm.
Hey man, they're just as important, and when they're gone and you realize that you're never gonna see them again, they're going down the rainbow
Not
bridge.
and yeah, and also then we have Sam who's like, "Fuck, man, now I gotta take this shit on." Like, I mean, that's not the way he acts about it, obviously, because he's Sam and he's great, but my God, poor Sam. Uh, anyway, next up.
So let's be real, it was nearly impossible to not include this in our top moments, but also it fits all too well here for the most obvious reasons. I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you, Mr. Frodo. I mean, come on.
And then he
Now,
like, I mean, I also like watching this again when Sam hefts Frodo on his back. They never show it in a way that makes it clear that it's actually one actor carrying the other. I'm not talking shit, but I noticed that. I
yeah.
never really thought about it. It doesn't matter one way or another, obviously. Like
Hmm.
that's what stunt people are because for obvious reasons. But yeah, it just I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. And
Beautiful.
like
Fucking beautiful.
how many people would actually do this? Do anything even remotely like this? And I'm not even talking about it in real life. I'm talking about it in like literature too. Like
Yeah, exactly.
just this pure like I'm literally only here to help you. I don't care about the glory. I don't care about anything other than making sure that you make it out of this somehow.
No, exactly, man. It was beautiful. It's a fucking beautiful scene, like, and it's just fucking touching and fucking heartwarming, especially at that point because everything was so fucking dire at that point, and it's like, dude, they're
Mhm.
never gonna fucking make it. And he's like, well, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. I'm like, dude, that's nice. I'm a solution-based person. I like solutions, and that was a solution.
Well, and I also think too, like, even if it was just a figurative, like in real life, if it's a figurative thing, like I can't carry, like, I don't know, like I can't carry your weight, but I can help you.
Yeah.
Like I can't necessarily, I don't know, like pay all of your bills, but I can, I don't know, send you a DoorDash meal when you really need it. I can't, um, I mean, I don't know, like I can't be there in person when you have to, and not to go back to, I know I keep going back to this, but I've had a week. I have not lost a pet this week. I've just had a week of kind of remembering stuff that's happened in the past 5 or 6 years, and it's like, I can't be there for you when you lose your pet or your, family member or whatever, but I can send you a meal, to make you feel better. I can come to your house and, drink a bottle of wine with you and reminisce. Like
It's that support,
there's a
man.
lot of different, right. There's a lot of different ways to do it. This is the absolute literal of, example of those ways. And like Jen says, like it's a shining example of a true loving
Yep.
friendship
Yep.
between two dudes.
It's like totally fine. It's great. It's fucking perfect, man. And to do something like that, it's like, it's fucking fantastic. Look, I've been to funerals with people that I had zero idea who they were. No idea. But a friend of mine was going and he needed someone with him. And I'm like, then I'm going to stand next to you the entire time. Like I'm going to be there by your side, and
Well, and
it is.
also, one of our commenters is Walker is saying Sam carrying the world on his back, and that's literally what it is actually,
That's
because like
literally what it is. Yeah.
if they don't get that ring destroyed, then
Yep. That's a good point.
the
But
whole
you're absolutely
world
right.
is destroyed.
That is
So,
literally the weight of the world on his shoulders. Literally.
okay. Finally, when the ring is destroyed and Frodo is so happy and this is all done, right? But they're still trapped in Mordor on the slopes of Mount Doom, surrounded by like, lava and shit. And Frodo is talking to Sam about how he can finally see the Shire again. And
Yeah,
it
because he's free of the ring.
probably in a right, and probably in a way to cheer Sam up as well.
Hmm.
They also both believe that this is truly the end of them. Like,
Yep.
where are they going to go? They cannot. It's lava. It's
Yeah,
okay.
no
Like,
place to go. Exactly. They ain't walking down that.
right.
You know?
Like they're on this tiny little rock in a sea of lava. And so they also both believe that this is truly the end of them. And poor Sam is crying over how, rightfully so. Okay, like he's
Hmm.
finally just breaking down. Like, my God, I could have, I would have wanted to marry Rosie. And
Hmm.
Frodo just hugs him, side hug, I guess, but hugs him and
Hmm.
says, "I'm glad to be with you, Samwise Gamgee, here at the end of all things." And I was like I was tearing up so many times when I was watching this
Hmm.
movie again. But this like really made me like, okay, no, tears. Like, actual like I cannot hold them back anymore. I can't hold them back
Yep.
anymore. Like, I'm
Yep.
outright crying. Fuck. Um and I know, obviously, I knew ahead of time that they were going to be saved by Gandalf and the Eagles, but that did not stop me from crying over their pure broship love. And
Yep.
just gonna say, like, just fast forwarding a bit to later in the movie when Frodo decides to go to the Undying Lands with Bilbo and the elves and
Mhm.
Gandalf is like, "It's okay to cry, guys. Like, not all tears are for bad reasons," or whatever. It's like,
Mhm.
yep, that's me watching this scene. Like, I knew they were going to
Yep.
be saved. I knew they weren't going to die, but at the same time,
Yep. You just didn't know.
uh, they're pure broship love. They're pure broship love.
It was fucking touching, man. It was fucking touching, dude.
Okay. I don't mean to rush into the next thing, but you guys, we have a lot of fucking ring sites,
Yeah.
aka our
This is
personal
a long
insights to
one,
talk about.
yeah.
Oh, it's so long.
Yeah. This is a long one. I mean, this is literally the season finale of this
Mhm.
one, you know, so we gotta do all the exposition.
So, my first ring sight is the final showdown, if you can really call it that, with Sauron. Like, for fuck's sake, Sauron, you've lost. Get over yourself.
Dude, for real.
Go Gandalf for basically ordering Saruman's staff to break. Like,
Mhm.
oh. Um, and then Theoden, though, he like Wormtongue is up there on the top of Isengard with Saruman, and Theoden offers Wormtongue an out. And he's like, you were a man of Rowan once. You can come back. And to be honest, I nobody likes Wormtongue, okay, but I do like that, and I do think Theoden was being legit in that offer. I think, like,
Mhm.
because he knew that Wormtongue had been poisoned,
Yeah.
and that there is a difference between someone being purely bad and someone being poisoned by, an evil source.
Yep.
Um, and then Sauron just like beats Wormtongue down first with his words and then
Mhm.
literally with his hands. And Wormtongue like finally has enough and stabs Sauron.
Yep.
Now, I'm gonna be like, I'm sighing a little bit at Legolas shooting Wormtongue.
Yeah, I thought
Like,
that was
Legolas knew who he was shooting. Why didn't y'all just kill him in the last movie? Like, we talked about this in our Two Towers episode. Why did you let him
yeah.
go in the first place? Um, to be fair, in the end, he does some good. So, in a way, Aragorn releasing him was kind of the best thing that could have happened. But they didn't know that was going to happen. And
Nope.
also, in the like they both die anyway. Like,
Yeah.
Saruman, Legolas shoots Wormtongue, but Sauron still falls from the tower and also like
In the
landing on
best
that
way.
water wheel. Splat.
And then getting stuck in it as it's like
Gruesome.
going under. It's
Fucking
like,
gruesome. fucking
Nice.
gruesome. I mean, good riddance, Saruman, but also like his refusal to tell them anything, like, "Hey, you're gonna lose anyway. I'm not telling you anything," even though like I was like super in their council. And then again, I don't get the Legolas shooting. And to be fair, it's been a few years since I reread the books. I honestly don't remember if Legolas shoots Wormtongue in the books either. Let's
Mhm.
assume that he does, but
Yeah.
either way, I don't think it matters. Like I don't understand. I don't understand why that had to happen. I feel like Wormtongue taking out Saruman and actually being the one that ends up pushing him off the tower would have
Mhm.
been way more meaningful.
Yeah.
Like whether Wormtongue meant to do that, to push him off the tower and die with him or not, let's assume he didn't, but like whether he did or not, like it would have been more meaningful if Legolas's arrow hadn't been involved. Just saying. And if somebody is listening to this, watching this, and they remember exactly what happened in the book, whether Legolas shoots Wormtongue or not, or how exactly that goes, whatever, let me know. But I feel like it. I feel like Legolas didn't need to shoot him, and I think that Wormtongue should have been able. I think that would have been a not a total redemption, but
Something,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
something.
exactly. And because he Wormtongue very much was listening to what Theoden was saying. I don't know.
Yep.
I feel like if that was it, I honestly am shocked that I should have probably like looked it up ahead of time, but since it's been a few years since I watched or since I read the books, I I don't remember that happens, and I just feel like it was if you have a chance to change some minor things, um, this would have if this happened in the books, this would have been one of the things I would have changed, along
Yeah.
with, the fact that all people of color are on Mordor's side, just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen. Okay, what's your first ring sight?
Okay, so mine is I guess the army with the Oliphants, right? So let me just invite everyone, okay, to this week's episode of things that piss Manny off. Okay. And things that piss me off is the external, you know, it's that concept of like the external intimidation, right? We see it in everyday life, right? We see people that are like, like walking around like look at me, or they got like, shit to just make them look fucking intimidating, right? And those things always fucking pissed me off, right? But you get to see like how actually weak people who are like that are, right? Or how easily dispatchable they are, really, in concept. So I loved it when you had that chieftain guy, right, who's riding on the elephant, right? He's like clearly like the head guy or whatever. And Eomor just grabs a spear as it's marching forward, and just like nothing, he's just like, boom, and just fucking guts the guy, just and it's like, yeah, see, you weren't shit, you know, and this is something that you kind of see throughout this entire series, right? Because when Aragorn is fighting that Uruk-hai and he stabs him, and the Uruk-hai's like pulling the blade in, like yelling at him, like, oh, look at how tough I am, and he just kicks him off and just takes his head right off. He's like, there you go, shut up, motherfucker. Like I like that shit, you know. Eowyn killing the fucking Witch King, right? Oh, no man can destroy me. Look at how tough I am with my fucking lunchbox fucking helmet, And she's just like, okay, whatever. Boom, knife to the face. Fucking done, right? Or that other guy who looked like, I can't remember what his name was, but he looked like the Toxic Avenger, right? That one orc who looked fucking weird. And he got dispatched really fucking easily, also, And like watching all of this, like it reminds me of like being younger in the 90s, right? And it was like I was in Miami, we used to go to bars and clubs that were just kind of, let's just say, in questionable areas and questionable things going on. And there was always that guy who is like the super tough looking guy. Look at how tough I am. And all this. And those guys always dropped the fastest and the hardest in every bar fight I've ever seen in my life or have been involved in. I'm like, that guy went down first. I was like, what are you talking about? Look at his muscles, though. Look at his muscles. But I love that they like did this throughout this entire series, was that they made these characters that were intimidating, and obviously they were played wonderfully. They looked fantastic. They did have that external intimidation, which is fantastic. But the way that they get dispatched so easily is comical almost, right? Because it's like this big buildup, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like, cool. I didn't expect the chieftain who looked all intimidating to just take a spear to the heart, and yeah, that was it. Like, I mean, come on, dude. Airmar's like, yeah, here, guys, give me that spear real quick. Just give it right here. All right, don't worry, guys, just hang back. Boom. All right, next.
I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about I Am No Man, but like when Éomer sees that Theoden like is actually dead, and he like Carl Urban. I'm sorry, I gotta go by the actor's name. Carl Urban like runs from him. He's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like the dumbest fucking like the yell is
weird.
fine, whatever, I guess, but the run is like
dude, you've been riding on that horse too long, man. Dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, dude, learn how to run. Okay. Oh my god,
that was good. That was good. I saw that in the notes earlier, and I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
Yeah. So we're very Zoidberg. I agree. It was Zoidberg. So okay. So I did mention this earlier, but Theoden like turning down Merry, who wants to ride and fight with them because none of its riders can bear the extra weight, all the way to Minas Tirith, and then Éowyn scoops him up on the back, like by the back of his cloak or jerkin, and says, "Ride with me." And like, for real, how did she lift him up on the go like that? I know the horse's momentum helped, and she's probably pretty strong considering she's handled horses our whole life, but still, come on now. That's not whatever. I fucking loved it. But like, I just love when she does this and sets him in front of her and says like, "Ride with me." And this like the gleeful little excited look on his face when he says, "My lady." Oh.
Yes.
Like it's not a romance thing. It's just the cutest like respect, and exactly. I love it. I love it.
Exactly. No, fantastic.
I love Merry and Pippin so fucking much.
It was great.
Yeah. I rushed through that one a little bit because I had already talked about it earlier, but you also had some Merry thoughts, right?
Yeah, Merry in this entire movie. There was just so much heart there. Like what they did with those characters, Merry and Pippin in this one, was amazing, right? Because they built them up as to be like this, like, just kind of comedy kind of duo, but you really get to see them in the real here. It was absolutely fantastic. I really loved it. And when Éowyn takes him on the horse, like the one thing that was just beautiful is that she's just like, just stay close to me, like no matter what happens, stay close to me and I'll protect you. It was fucking beautiful. And the fact that when they're riding into battle and you can see the fear on their faces and he's like holding on to her arm, you know what I'm saying? Like as they're riding in, like, I don't know. There was nothing like that was like badass about that, but there was everything that was about vulnerability and like sticking together and like, we're going to fucking make it through this.
Well, but I mean, I feel like feeling fear, especially in a situation like that, it is still badass in a way. Like you'd kind of be an idiot if you weren't fucking scared.
No, I mean, no, but the fact that, well, because I guess when I say that there was no badass moment is that what it's showing, it's like the real, right? If any of us went into battle, I'm sure that we would push through it, but we would all be scared and we would probably show our fear, right? As opposed to being typical chieftain guy who's like, look at how tough I am, I can do anything, and then fucking gets killed while the rest of us who were vulnerable didn't get killed, like. So yeah, but I thought that was fucking great. Another thing is when Pippin sings that song to Denethor, right? When he's like, oh, do you know how to sing? And he's singing that fucking song, dude, and there's like with the back shots of the war going on. That was such a beautifully done like little montage that was fucking absolutely wonderful. So you can eat that shit, Gata, right? Because they tried to do that shit. on fucking
Yeah, but with
Battlestar.
Gatus, it was just depressing as fuck
It was
because he had lost his
depressing, you
leg. But in
know?
this one, well, in this one, it is still depressing. Like, and the song is sad. Like, home is behind, the world ahead. I just,
Mhm.
oh my god,
It was
all
just beautiful.
shall fade,
Yeah.
all shall fade, and then people are literally dying the whole time. It's so fucking sad. It's good. It's
Dude,
perfect. It's
it's
beautiful,
perfect. No.
but
But
it's so
how
sad.
gross was it watching this guy eat?
Oh,
Oh,
ew.
I didn't wanna eat anymore after that. I was like, "Oh god, that's fucking
It's just
shit."
tomatoes too. It would have been worse if it was like bloody meat or something. But
Ugh.
that said, have you heard the theory about Denethor and his dining ware?
No. No.
So basically, this is I don't know how long this theory has been like posited, but basically because Denethor is seen eating from pewter plates and drinking from pewter cups, and especially because he's seen eating tomatoes which from a pewter plate, and tomatoes have a very high like acidity.
Acidic, yeah.
People have posited that lead poisoning contributed to his madness, which
Hmm.
I don't think they ever specify in the book that he's like eating or drinking tomatoes specifically from specifically pewter
Yeah.
diningware. And beyond that, he is basically in straight view of Mordor his entire life. And he's power hungry
Yeah.
over like not wanting to lose the stewardship of Gondor if an actual heir shows up. But still, like I love when fandom comes up with things like this because it's also
Mhm.
it's not like it isn't legit at all. I think some people say like Peter Jackson showed this specifically in the film to like make a point about why this is part of why he might have like gone mad. I don't
Mhm.
know how I feel about that, but it is a very interesting uh theory, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
I think like listen, I think him eating tomatoes, I think it was just supposed to be like, look at this fucking dude, just like fucking and his
Ye
tomatoes with like just gross. And I agree. Like I love a tomato. Like I I love a slice of tomato, dipped in some ranch maybe with or just by itself with a little bit of salt, but he makes it gross. He makes it gross.
makes it gross because I am very much a clean eater when I eat, you know? I do
Yeah.
not like
Yeah,
to
same.
be gross, and, like, I will purposely not go to the stupid fucking, trendy fucking burger joint because their burgers are this fucking big, and I know half of it's gonna wind up in my face, and I'm like, "No, dude, I'm sorry. I have dignity."
If I'm
Like,
doing
I
that, I'm
like
doing it
food, but
at
I'm not
home where
doing that.
nobody can see me.
Exactly, exactly. It's 2 AM, I'm drunk as fuck, and I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna have a big fucking messy fucking burger," you know?
Jen, a plot by Big Tomato.
Yep.
It went the other way though, she says. Okay. But also, like Denethor's end as
Mhm.
mad and
Yeah.
maddening as he
Mhm.
is like big like for fuck's sake, man, trying to burn your own son alive because you are too far gone to notice he is alive somehow.
Yeah.
And Gandalf riding Denethor down and Pippin saving Faramir from the pyre, and then Denethor attacks Pippin like, "You can't take my son from me," and Gandalf has to ride him down again, and
Yep.
Shadowfax straight up kicks Denethor back onto the pyre,
Under the fire. Yep.
where he looks and finally, like, sees that
His
Faramir is actually
son.
alive, and he's like, "Oh no, I fucked up," but now he's on fire and shit. So he just runs off the precipice of Minas Tirith,
Yep.
like the giant sword shaped fucking precipice,
Yep.
and like so passes Denethor, son of Ecthelion, that fucking jerk. Like I know I shouldn't laugh about it, but also
No, yeah, exactly, dude. And with poor fucking Faramir, man. I mean, come on, give this guy a fucking break, dude, you know? Like
seriously, like now all of a sudden when he's dead, you pretend or maybe he always cared about him. I don't know. I don't like, but like to me it seemed like, oh, he's dead now, he died in battle, I'm gonna care about him now, but also he's not fucking dead, and like pay attention for 5 fucking seconds.
yeah,
Christ
that's a good
almighty.
one. Billy Boyd was a collaborator to writing that song that he sang.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's fucking cool. Take that
He's a
shit,
good
Gata.
singer. He's a good singer too. Yeah. I actually I think that I'm blanking on the actor's name, but I think the actor who played Gata also collaborated on that song with
He
their
probably
various
did, and I love
things.
Gata. I was just mad this time
I know,
with
I know.
him, okay? Because I was like, "Look at you, fucking sobbing, you lost a leg." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Did you have any last ring sites? Because the last one is mine.
I did. I added one all the way at the bottom.
Okay, I'm missing it, but go ahead and
Okay, I'll do mine. So
yeah.
this one I can remove because we already talked about this. I got rid of that one. So I wanted to talk about the special effects for a minute, right? Aside from some of the wonky special effects that happened with the elephant riding and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of weird. Um, I know that they were doing a lot more this time. So, and obviously this was what 2003, 2004, I think. So the technology wasn't quite there yet. But there are things that I've always mentioned about these movies that were really fantastic, and I call it the 1980s horror factor, right? When you would watch a movie as a kid and it's something that's stuck with you for your entire life, right? And it was always some weird mixture of like special effects or like practical effects, like all this kind of stuff. And with the Oathbreakers, man, they did such a good job because there's so many layers of something. Like you can see one is a skull, and then there one is like rotting corpse, and then the other one is like a person. And they had this overlaid so perfectly to where it makes it look like one unit of a person, right? To where it was like I was sitting there watching it to where like it freaked like I couldn't look at it for too long because it kind of was like weird. It was the same thing with the with like the writers and stuff in the first movie, right? Like when Frodo puts on the ring and he sees them for what they are, like that was fucking freaky. Or like when Frodo follows the fucking lights and falls into the marshes, right? And all the like fucking things are like coming out of the water and stuff. Like those are
Mhm.
the things that like still like they kind of weird me out because those are the things that I would have watched as a kid, you know, like that's what it reminds me of. That's why I call it like the 80s horror factor or whatever, because the way they use practical effects, there's something about it that just makes it real, you know. And when
Yeah.
they did it with these people, with the Oathbreakers, it was just so perfectly done, man, you know. And it was freaky to look at, you know, because it was difficult to look at. Um, but yeah, that's what I wanted to mention was just the special effects of the Oathbreakers, because every movie has this like fear factor that they put into it, you
Well,
know,
yeah, we absolutely could not go an episode without you mentioning the, like, horror aspects, and
the
I
horror
agree.
aspect.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't watch anything horror when I was younger. It
Yeah.
just wasn't my thing. That's something I've gotten into really enough actually within the last, like, maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh and my last ring site does go delve into a little bit of horror stuff, in a way, because I doubt that I am supposed to be as amused by the mouth of Sauron as I am. Like, yes, his mouth is gross, his teeth are nasty, but the weird, like, I don't really know how to smile grin
Yeah.
he
Yep.
gives, like, constantly, but most specifically after bidding them welcome, and then
Yep.
Aragorn's little, like, lip curl, like, I died. LOL.
Yep.
It's just it was too it's not supposed to be funny, but it fucking is, okay?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and like that said, of course, as we've mentioned before, we know Frodo isn't dead, but it's gotta choke you up a bit how sad they all are to hear from this
Yep.
fucking dickhead that he is, that Frodo is dead.
Yep.
And of course, soon enough, Aragorn is like past done listening to this asshole. And he rides forward a little bit, and this prompts the mouth of Sauron to be all, it takes more to make a king than a broken elvish blade. And Aragorn just lops off his head.
I love
And
it. I love the
Gimli's
level
like,
of patience. I love it.
hmm,
Mhm.
guess negotiations are done or something like that.
Exactly.
Now, I will say this, to be honest, this used to be like I used to feel like this was like the most triumphant moment of this film. And I think some of that was seeing it in theaters where they didn't show this. And
Oh,
then
really?
seeing the extent, yeah, from what I can remember, I'm like 99% sure they did not show Aragorn lopping off the head of the mouth of Sauron. I don't even know if they showed this scene at all, but the first time I saw that, I was like, oh my fucking God, triumphant. Yes. And I've watched it since then and always felt that way since then. But this time I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. It didn't really feel quite as triumphant. And maybe that's because I've watched these movies like so many times in the past like month or so that it it didn't feel as triumphant as other things that have happened. But no matter what, it was still great. Like Aragorn just having enough of this guy's shit. And but again, it goes back to just to go back to like the horror of it all. Like I'm sure there's like some horror movie comparisons I could make to it, but it's like, it's gross. He's gross. He's supposed to be scary. But the fact that he's constantly like, with his
Yeah.
it's like all his mouth and his teeth. It's just, it's very
Yeah.
like hilarious when it probably shouldn't be.
Yep.
My God.
So I got a quick question for you.
Mhm.
Do you remember what parts in this are actually part of the extended edition and what was in the original? Because I don't remember anymore. Like the only time I ever saw the originals was in the movie theater because that's what they had. And then
Same.
after that, it was the extended edition. And anyone who's a fan and has watched the extended editions refuses to watch
Yep.
the original for good reason. Because I feel like
Not
there
that
was
they're bad, but they were
no,
the cinematic release, and that's what you were gonna get.
yeah,
But
and it's fine. But
the thing
yeah,
the
I
thing
feel
is
like
it's not like watching it's like you watch like, what was the Justice League? Wasn't there like a Justice
oh
League movie
yeah, and
that
they had
also
like a director's
yeah,
cut or
and see, I
whatever.
didn't
Yeah,
watch the non-director's cut, and I watched the
yeah.
director's cut, and I also don't give a shit about DC stuff. Sorry, not sorry. So,
I didn't like them either
uh,
way, so it just didn't matter to me.
yeah, I was
Like, I
kinda
don't
like,
care.
"Okay, so whatever," and I think there was a Suicide 6 that did that too, the first
Yeah,
Suicide 6, not the later one that was actually, like, slightly better.
yeah,
Um but yeah, I don't the Aragorn lopping off the head of the mouth of Sauron is the only thing I specifically remember not being in the cinematic release of the movies.
yeah.
The rest of it, I could not tell you one way or another from any of them, honestly.
Yeah, I think the only thing I remember was that in the cinematic release of the Fellowship of the Ring, they don't explain the lambus bread,
Oh, weird.
which to me was like, you should probably explain that the fact that you can take a bite of
Yeah.
it and it fills up. I want to say that scene is not. I could be wrong. Don't at me on it, but like I want to say that I had gone back and was watching or somebody was watching it and I was kind of watching over the shoulder and I was like, dude, this thing is missing so fucking much explanation, like so I can't remember if that was it, but I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I don't literally from all 3 movies, the only thing I am entirely sure was not included in the cinematic release was him
Mhm.
lopping off the head of the mouth of Sauron. That's it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
I know there were tons of other stuff, but like you said, I will say, I like I definitely watched the cinematic release versions after theater, like because I had them on DVD because the extended editions did not come out until like a year after Return of the
Yeah.
King was released
Mhm.
on DVD or something.
Yeah.
But it's been even then, let's talk about so Return of the King came out in theaters at the end of 2003.
Mhm.
So I have not watched anything other than the extended edition since probably 2006. So that's been almost 20 years. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yep.
And I like you said, like I cannot imagine not watching these.
No, there's so much in it, and when I saw Return of the King and I saw The Two Towers, I can't remember what was added or removed, but I couldn't imagine watching it any other way, because there is so much there. And the thing is that when you watch these editions that are 4 hours, and Return of the King was like 4.5 hours, it's like I couldn't imagine anything getting removed, you know? Um, oh, you see, I was right about the bread, you see?
Yeah.
That one I remember. For some reason, I don't know why. Oh, I mean, because look, it's like it's lambus bread. Like you have to explain that. How are these hobbits making it all the way to Mordor with like 4 little pieces of like lambus bread? Like Of course, because if you fucking take a bite out of it, it fucking fills you up, like for an entire day. It's like that would
Yeah.
make sense. That's how they have their rations. So
Okay. So we've finished our Lord of the Rings episodes. What are your last thoughts about all of this?
my last thoughts is I really forgot, not forgot, but I guess I really forgot like that how good these movies are put together,
Mhm.
how well they are, the way they're filmed, the way they're fucking directed. And then on top of that, what makes the only disappointing part of it was how disappointed I am now even more about the Hobbit movies,
Oh
right?
God.
Because I tried those and I only watched the first two. I only watched the first two and I could not do it. I was like, dude, there is something missing from these that I don't know what it is. And it's probably the practical effects that was missing, the actual on-site location shooting that was missing, because a lot of it was just fake backgrounds, like prequel Star Wars style, and there was no soul behind it, which was a shame because they had good actors doing the parts and all that kind of stuff. But and they weren't filming on set because my boy Ian McKellen had a fucking nervous breakdown when they were filming, because he was literally looking at walls and doing that shit. And he was like, I did not get into acting for this, you know, like, and I understand. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'd have fucking lost my shit too. Are you fucking kidding me? And like, you're muted.
The Hobbit is a story that can be told in one movie.
No, it is. And to me, it's like if anything should have gotten 3 movies, each one of these books of the Lord of the Rings should have gotten 3 fucking movies out of it. Each one. So the fact that they took the Hobbit and was like, oh, we're gonna put it in 3 movies. I'm like, guys, like there's not that much fucking material there. This is a very cut and dry story.
They could have done like a, I don't know if they call it in books it's a duology,
Yeah.
but like a set of 2 movies, I could have understood. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I
Not for
watched
me.
all 3 movies. I will say there were times in those movies where I was like entertained and shit, but it
Oh, I'm
wasn't
sure.
well, and also The Hobbit also isn't like the end all be all story. That's not what it was ever meant to be. And that also
No.
adds to the like it's an adventure story, and that's fine. That's great. It's great for what it is.
Yeah.
Rereading The Hobbit to me is like a 2-day at best
Yeah.
situation because it's like, oh, okay, I read. It's good as it always was. And now let's go on to Lord of the Rings, which is like a couple weeks for the
It's
2
more
books,
epic.
depending
Yeah.
on how much free time I have. Like, yeah, exactly. It's epic. The Hobbit is a fun, adorable,
Adventure.
perfect adventure.
Yeah. Perfect
And
adventure. Exactly.
the movies, we do have people in the chat like loving the movies. And hey, listen, if you love the Hobbit movies, all the more power to you. Like, I'm not gonna judge anybody for liking what they like, but
Bro, it's like I tell everybody, right, dude? When I take a shit on something, please do not take it personally, dude. I am not on any of those people's fucking payroll. Whatever you like, you like. I promise I can name 10 movies that everybody fucking hates and I love. Okay, dude. So like enjoy your movie. If you got something out of it, perfect. At least it wasn't made in vain. If one person was into it first, then enjoy it. Have a good fucking time. And I love that you love it.
oh yeah, tons of people were into it. I think that like I'm probably more of, or well, I am, at least compared to the people I've met at like Dragon Con when I've been on panels that
Hmm.
feature anything about Lord of the Rings. I am like a more casual fan compared to the
Yeah.
people that run like the onering.net or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fine. Like I read the books a bunch? Yes. Have I watched the movies a fuck ton? The Lord of the Rings movies
Hmm.
anyway. Yes. Um Someone Walker saying, wait for them to try the Silmarillion. Listen, that's
Oof.
never going to happen. I'm
Oof.
pretty sure the what was the show that they were the Rings of Power.
Oh, the Rings of Power.
I think that got sold. Amazon sold it off. Like I don't even know what's going on with the future of that show. It was not great. in my
Yeah, I heard it
opinion.
was not. I watched the first episode because I was
It's
like, "Oh, Lord of the Rings," and I was just like, "Eh."
it's like the Hobbit movies. It's like
Yeah,
slightly entertaining, but it's also like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? But also
exactly,
they
and
didn't
yeah,
have like the full rights to do certain things, I don't think.
yeah,
And I'll be honest, like I thought the Children of Huron was like a decent book, but the Silmarillion took me like 2 years to get through. I
yeah,
struggled through reading that book.
yeah,
There's which is and I it's not like I struggled through reading all books like that because I read Fire and Blood like front to back immediately. I've read World of Ice and Fire, and these are the Song of Ice and Fire slash Game of Thrones, if you want to refer to it that way, sort of history books, whatever. Like I read those really quickly, but there's a difference between those and like the Silmarillion, where it's just like elf names all the time, stuff that I just and
I can't
honestly,
do that.
well, and also I read the Silmarillion. I didn't start reading it till I was like 18, and I think I was working at Disney at the time, so I also had very little free time. So
Yeah,
maybe if I tried again now, it would be different, but I also have no desire to try again now. Sorry, not sorry.
no, dude,
Um,
I
I think the
can't do those
story is
damn elven
there,
names.
but I don't think that I think the story is there, but I don't think that the like reading it is not it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah,
Um, and again, like Rings of Power is just it was
yeah,
it was a show that I watched. Did I hate it? Hate is a strong word. Did I like it? Like is a strong word in this sense.
I just feel like there's some stories that don't really need to be told,
Mhm.
and you kind of waste time doing it, and that's how I felt about like the Star Wars prequels. Um, Because it was like, is this a story that actually needs to be told? Should you guys be telling a much different story than this one? Like, we kind of like how this kid became Darth Vader is not as important as much as his redemption arc in the end. So, like, why are you wasting your time with this? And just like with the Rings of Power, is it really important to see how Sauron got to power, or is it really important to see how the people defeated him in the end? Like together. Like, what's more important here? So I don't
Well,
know.
and
I feel like they
also
kind of
the Rings of Power, like the story that they're making, as far as I have heard, is not like it's not based on canon anyway. It's just because
no.
they couldn't get the rights for it. So
And that's
anyway,
something that you would want canon
yeah,
for, right? Like,
yeah.
you would really want canon behind that?
Um, but okay, so are we still both on the same page of Two Towers being our favorite of the three movies?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, there's no question about it. Two Towers. I mean, this movie was good. Loved it.
Yes. I
Fantastic.
will say
Yeah.
rewatching it, especially, like, a couple times in such a
Mhm.
short amount of time, did make me feel a lot more strongly about it than I had before,
It did for
but
me too. Yeah, it did for me too.
at the same time, it's still 2 towers. It's still 2 towers.
It's the Two Towers,
Um,
baby, all day, all fucking day, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything
Um, no, I guess not, man. We made it to the end of another segment here, and,
Mhm.
even though Battlestar took us a year, right? It took us about almost a year
Well,
to get through that, you
this was
know?
3 movies. Battlestar was, 4 seasons and a
4 seasons.
made-for-TV movie.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
Um,
referencing Community in the way there. 4 seasons and a movie.
4 seasons in a movie. Exactly. No, but, it was really cool watching this, kind of, back to forth and just being able to kinda, like, tear it apart a little more than when I normally watch it, right? Because we do the podcast and we're trying to, like, find things and all this kinda stuff, and what it did for me was it really just made the whole experience even better, for me,
Yeah,
because now I'm noticing these, like, little fine details and all this stuff that
yeah.
they're doing that was just, like, it was fantastic, and again, it was just a great adventure movie from start to fucking finish, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like I never had any complaints about these movies, but I do agree that it's harder to do like a whole it's hard to cover a whole series of of a TV show and not like
Mhm.
come up with things that are like, ugh. Not terrible, but like, we wish
Yeah.
they'd done this differently and stuff. I literally no complaints. Two Towers, still my favorite. Although I will say, like, I used to be like Two Towers is like way up here, and Return of the King is like, you know, here, and now it's like way closer. It's like right under. It's right under.
Look, I'm gonna keep my same thing, right? So like Fellowship of the Ring, I would say a solid 8 out of 10 trains, right? Like it was just really good. It was, nice. Two Towers is a fucking 20 out of 20 fucking trains. 20 fucking trains.
Ah, you muted yourself. You're still muted. I don't know what you did. There you go. 20
What?
fucking trains. 20 fucking trains.
Okay. I unplugged my mic because I fucking smacked it on the butt when I was getting all animated. Yeah, so I would say 20 out of 10 trains for the Two Towers. Return of the King, I would give it I would almost give it a 10 out of 10. But I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And I'll tell you why, because of one thing.
Wait, you just said 20 out of 10 trains for Two Towers. So just to be clear, you're still saying Return of the King is only 10 or 9 out of 10 trains?
All right, look, I'll give it, okay, just for the sake of, I'll give it 11. Okay, we'll say 11. Okay. The only thing that brought it probably would have been a 15 if it wasn't for the 10 endings of that movie that it has. Okay. There is a long span of times when I was expecting the closing credits to happen, and it was literally like 10 times where I'm like, okay, guys, you guys are fading to white a little too much here. Like, let's, that's what I would say. But I did like it. I will say that I did like it better than I did the first time I saw it. The first time I saw it, it was my least favorite of all the movies.
Return of the King was?
It was. It was my least favorite of all the movies. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like it. I liked it.
Of course not. Of course not.
But like comparing them like all together, I was like the Two Towers, Fellowship of the Ring, and then, fucking Return of the King. Now it's a little different for me now, where I'm like, you know what, dude? No, I do kind of like it. Fellowship of the Ring is my least favorite, but not because it's bad in any way.
Yeah, no,
I
saying least favorite makes it sound bad, but like, no, absolutely, we don't mean it's bad. Like,
yeah,
it's
but like Return of the King,
Two Towers for me. I would give Two Towers 11 out of 10 trains or hot dogs. I would give Return of the King 9.5. 9.5 out of 10 trains or hot dogs, and I would give Fellowship like 8 out of 10 trains or hot dogs.
Okay, so we're almost there. We're almost at the same spot there.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay, well, as we close out the episode, just want to thank you for joining us. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about wriggling fish.
Wriggling fish. No, that's right. It's calling us out on
Gollum had no wriggling fish in this movie. So
yeah, no wriggling fish. 0 out of 10. No wriggling fish. This is the worst wriggling fish movie.
Yes, we give Return of the King 0 out of 10 wriggling fish. We're having no wriggling fish.
No wriggling fish. Two Towers, 10 out of 10 though. There was a lot of wriggling fish.
Lots of them. Lots of them. Oh my God. As we close out the episode, we just want to thank you for joining us for our 15th Media That Made Us episode on The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. While we will continue recording and releasing episodes throughout the next couple of months due to my aforementioned move, we are going to take a break from our live streams for the foreseeable future. To keep up to date with our upcoming podcast episodes, make sure to follow us at Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, and or Instagram, or for early access as well as fun updates for our cross-country from our cross-country trek. There's too many R's. From our cross-country trek. Back our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment. Again, at the $3 and up level, will include all of our cross-country updates. In the meantime, please do not forget to like, subscribe, or rate us 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening. Thank you, everybody who has joined us in the live chat. This was so much fun tonight, you guys. I cannot wait until I am able to figure out a proper setup in my house on the East Coast. that somehow allows me to do live streams, because that is going to be a situation that I have to deal with. But we'll get back to it as soon as we can. I will be honest, I think the next live stream I'm going to be doing is probably our pre-Dragon Con live stream on Saturday, August 16th. I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything before that, and then Dragon Con is going to happen, so it'll be a little bit after that before we get back into our next show and or movie series, and we'll let you know as soon as we know what that next show and or movie series will be. All right.
Yep.
Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Good night, guys.